today's virtual Waldorf 101, where we're going to do a quick walkthrough of the school, show you some of our beautiful spaces, and give you an idea of what the environment and life is like here at WWS. And then we'll also have a few minutes to sit down for a Q&A with two of our teachers. So my name is Drew Sample. I am the enrollment director here at Washington Waldorf School. I am here standing in front of our children's garden playground. This is the playground for our early childhood classes. And I'm starting outside today because, well, gosh, it's a beautiful day. And like, who wouldn't want to be outside right now? But also because being outside, being in nature is a really important pillar of our program. And our children in the early childhood programs spend about half their mornings outside, usually on this playground, in weather that is beautiful like today, and also not so beautiful. If it's raining or snowing, they are still going outside unless the weather is really dangerous, high winds or something, thunderstorms, something like that. But that also continues throughout the ages that we serve here. All the way through high school, we are still encouraging our students to get outside as often as possible. They still get 2 breaks every day, grades 1 through 12, most often outside so they can breathe fresh air, feel the sunshine, and establish a strong connection with nature and a sense of their environment and a sense that they are part of the natural world as well. So I'm going to get us going, and we'll head inside in just a second because not all the learning happens outside here. And we can see some of our beautiful spaces. So give me a second here to turn our camera around. There we go. We're going to go in the side door today. And enter into our early childhood program hallway. You'll see here on the stairs, we've got some mosaic work done by our 9th graders. And that is a permanent installation. So that's going to be living here for as long as we are in this building, which we anticipate will be many, many years to come. We're entering the early childhood hallway now. So this is where our preschool and kindergarten classes are. I highly encourage you all to come on a in-person tour of the school as well. Which case you really get to go into classrooms, see the classrooms in action. And you also get the delightful extra sensations here, like smelling the bread that is baking, that the children make themselves for their snack. One class does that each day, each week. So this is our Songbirds classroom, which you can see contains, our Sunflowers classroom, I should say, which has, some big windows there, lots of natural light coming in. All the materials are made of natural materials. There's lots of wood and silk and wool in this room, so they're really getting sensory experience of working with natural materials. And you can see, there's got the loft right there is a really fun space for the kids to get into. And again, if you come on one of our tours, in-person tours, we will get to see the kids actually in action in the classroom. We're going to continue down the hallway here. I'll quickly showcase here our class trips board. We do, starting in grade 3, a class trip at the end of the year, multi-night overnight trip, again, often involving some sort of connection to nature element. Camping, backpacking, canoeing, that kind of thing features heavily into those trips. Up here we have our front entrance. So this is the entrance that you would most commonly come into when coming into the school. And again, you can see we've got a lot of natural light coming in, a really beautiful space. Beauty is really an element of significance to us, and I think something that we want our children to feel they are in a world that is beautiful and a place that is beautiful and a place where they can really relax. You're also going to see a lot of artwork throughout the building. We've got stone sculptures down here that were 12th grade projects. We've got weavings from 10th graders up on the wall here. Art is integrated into all of the academic lessons that we have here because art is, we believe, within all of us. And we believe it's important for all of our students to gain a capacity in several different artistic mediums, and really have a sense that they can create things that are beautiful and really contribute to the beauty in the world. Art is an important lens for learning, and also for developing their creativity, their self-expression, and just an idea of who they are and what they have to contribute to the world. So it is art, music, movement. All these pieces are not extracurricular in our school. They are part of the curriculum. They're built into every week and every day here. So we're going to move down our lower school hallway now. So these are classrooms 1 through 8. And again, you'll see plenty of student artwork here. These are second grade drawings of a fish, a scene of a fish in the sea, a scene from a story that featured in one of their days. Hi, Starla. We've got some first grade artwork here. They were drawing images of the sun, reflecting on the sun. You can also see here, actually, we've got some handmade signs from some of our students warning other students not to move too quickly through the hallways, to take it slow and be safe in the hallways. We encourage our students to really be responsible for each other and really be responsible for their space. You also can see there are plenty of boots out here in the hallway. Again, everybody's equipped to go outside no matter what the weather is like that day. And on this side here, you've got some musical instruments from our 4th grade. The 4th graders actually also built the wooden stands here that these musical instruments are being held in. They built those last year in 3rd grade in preparation for the time when they would be playing string instruments in 4th grade. Again, music is part of the day and not extracurricular. We're going to go into our 5th grade classroom for a quick peek in there. Again, we're not able to go into a classroom waving a camera around. That's a little bit too disruptive for our students, but we can at least see what the 5th grade classroom looks like. And what you'll notice here is we still are using chalkboards in these rooms. The students are still sitting at typical desks. They, are still doing a lot of their work, pretty all of their work they're doing by hand. They're writing on the chalkboard. Again, like it's sort of a carryover from the what we're doing in the early childhood programs where they're working with wooden materials, we're working with natural materials. They're still doing that in the grades as well, because developing handwriting deepens learning, gives them a tactile experience of the world, and we believe is still really important. You can see the playground out here, out of the windows of the 5th grade room. So there's plenty of space for kids to run around and move their bodies as they are on their breaks. And just very quickly, I will see if I can showcase this. It's a little difficult, but with the stabilizer here, but these are main lesson books. So these are the books, effectively the textbooks that the students create themselves. So these books are 5th grade works, and you can see, there's a bit of writing happening, there's a bit of artistic work happening, and there's kind of a combination of the two happening here. These books are from a block that the 5th graders are just finishing up on ancient India. So studying history, studying culture, studying a bit of religion, really getting a taste for all of that. I'm going to take us back out now for a quick peek at the middle school. We've got more 5th grade artwork here on the wall. And here we've got perspective drawings from the 7th graders who just finished a block on the Renaissance and ended that by creating their own perspective drawings, which of course involve a bit of math, a bit of art, and sort of a chance to reflect as well on how perspective changes things and how their perspective might influence the way they are thinking about things, the way they are looking at the world. Quick peek here at the daily schedule of a middle school class, because I know somebody had a question about this. We start the day every day with the main lesson or morning lesson, which is an 1.5 to 2 hour deep dive for 4 to 6 weeks into one subject area. So those books that we were just looking at, the morning lesson books I referenced about ancient India from the 5th grade, those are created in that main lesson period. That's a period in which rotates between humanities, sciences, mathematics, language arts throughout the year. So that's an opportunity for them to really dive deeply into a subject. Following that, they've got a break, and then their specials follow after that. So in the middle school, they've got track classes for English. They've got Spanish, which actually also goes all the way down through 1st grade as well, and track classes in math as well. So they're building those English and math skills as well outside of the main lesson time. They've also got art, they've got a music elective, they've got movement class, they've got handwork and woodwork. So they're really getting a very well-rounded education that really sort of addresses the many different aspects of learning and ways of learning. We've got some more artwork from the 6th grade here, geometric drawings. So again, you know, some math involved, some art involved, really trying to integrate all of that and bring it all together. I'm going to move us a little more quickly now so that we can get down to the high school hallway and into our Q&A with the teachers. So we're going to take a right here down the high school hallway. We'll see more artwork on the wall. We're going to pass our kitchen on the left here. We do have a hot lunch program where they serve lunch every day. It is delicious and nutritious meals. You can see here's a sort of sampling of our menu for the week. It's pizza day today, and the 8th graders are actually in there helping prepare the pizza, and they will be helping to clean up afterwards as well. You can see some of the 10th grade works here. These are silk prints done in screen prints done in a Japanese style. And our college admissions and matriculation board here. You can see some of the wonderful colleges and universities where students were accepted, and the stars are where they ultimately enrolled. From our graduating classes the last 3 years, we've also got their self-portraits in oil right here as well. And so you can see a wide variety of colleges and universities. They get into every kind of college and university following graduation here. The goal for us is really for them to find a place that is, and be prepared to attend a place that is really the right next step for them. Not whatever we think the best college or university is or will be the best for them, but where they're what is gonna aid them on their journey. On the hall here, we've got some pictures of our graduating classes going back to 1988. And you can see some of these classes are big, some of them are small. We do have one class per grade in grades 1 through 12. We're an intentionally small school. We find a lot of benefit in that, and actually quite a lot of good feedback from the students on that as well. What the students reported in recent focus groups was being in a small community where they really had strong relationships with their peers, strong relationships with their teachers, and were able to cultivate those over a few years. Just showing off quickly our gym here. This is a brand new gym. This is our 3rd season in the gym. It's a wonderful space for us to host home basketball games, but also to have large community events. So sometimes we have festivals in here, and we've had hosted a contra dance in here last fall. Lots of fun happens in this gym, including sports, of course. And we do sometimes win. So it's great when we win, of course, and we are excited about that and happy to celebrate it. But ultimately, the point really is not winning or losing, but all the great things that you learn from team sports. How to win gracefully, how to lose gracefully, how to work as a team, all of that good stuff. Now we'll wrap things up by heading into the library, where we will meet up with Ron Mosier and Jennifer Robinson. I'll give you a quick view out here into the grounds behind our campus as well, or behind our building as well. So we've got plenty of room for students to move about there as well. And now we are joined by Miss Robinson and, oh, turn the camera around. Oh boy, there we go. And Mr. Mosier. Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Mr. Mosier is our woodworking teacher for grades 4 through 12, and Ms. Robinson is our gardening teacher, middle school science teacher. What else? There are other hats as well. Substitute, yeah, exactly, when needed. So we're here for any questions. And Tarina, I know there were some questions that were submitted earlier, so I wonder if you might be able to chime in with those.
Hello, can everyone see me and
Yeah.
hear
Yep.
me? Okay, hi, well, welcome. I just want to say welcome again to those joining us. We have a first question. Could you please talk a little bit about Waldorf education and how that honors the head, heart, and the hands?
Right. I'm happy to start. You want me to turn the mic on?
Yeah, let's do the mic on. Thank you.
So I think it's important to acknowledge that human beings aren't just sort of heads that walk around and think things. We are fully integrated beings that need to think about a task and then feel how we feel about the task and then do the task and then feel how we feel about doing the task and then we can think about it some more. And it's sort of this constant weaving of thinking, feeling, and doing, or willing, that we talk about in the Waldorf education. And so we want an education that speaks to all three of those parts and it consistently focuses on integrating them. And, you know, it's probably not the time for the deep dive on how we approach the feeling versus how we approach the thinking, but enough to say that we're conscious of developing all of those. And certainly one of the ways that we develop the willing, the doing, is through using our hands in the garden, in science experiments, and in woodwork.
Yeah. And developing, you can't have one without the other. They just don't work all by themselves, right? Your hands don't work without your brain. Your brain doesn't work without your heart. If you want to define heart as something other than a biological organ, right? And that's how we're defining heart. We're not talking about the thing that pumps blood. We're talking about the thing that gives you the motivation to be an exceptional human being, is your heart, right? And so you need all three of those components to accomplish anything, unless even something that you could consider to be a purely intellectual exercise. You need the will, you need the heart, you need the motivation to actually jump into that thing, right? And most of the time you need your hands at the very least to write something down, right? Or draw a picture with a crayon, draw a picture with a stick in the sand. Everything that we do is involves these three components. And if you don't practice making those connections, then those connections are hard to make when it's time to say, when your brain says, all right, I'm picking up a carving knife and I'm going to do this. If you haven't developed that neural pathway, you can't just pick it up and do it, right? Yeah. And so it is biological, but it is also psychological. It is also physiological. It's intellectual. It's emotional. It's all of these things all at the same time. And you have to, and if you eliminate any one of those pieces out of the picture, then you're not getting the whole picture. And then if you're not getting the whole picture, then we're not serving all of the components of your children that are going to turn them into exceptional human beings.
Well said. Thank you.
Thank
Next
you.
question.
Well, something that is really pressing for many folks these days is the use of technology in school, particularly in the middle school. So if you both could talk a little bit about that, please.
Sure. So I think that it's a perfect jumping point, this head, heart, hands, right? Because we want students to be connecting with one another in all of those ways. And when we have this mediator of the screen that separates me from you, I'm not really connecting with you. And we have this beautiful gift of this school day time to be with one another in physical, real-time community. And we don't need any of those intermediary devices in that mix. There is no digital technology in our lower grades classrooms. And when families do begin to introduce the ability to have a smartphone later on in middle school years, we are sure to make that not a distraction during the school day by putting it in a yonder pouch that the student carries with them all day. So they have their phone. We're not taking the phone away from them, but they don't have access to it during the day. And that means that they're not going to impulsively go to the bathroom and then check the sports stats, or instead of having a conversation at recess, going and looking at whether they got likes on their social media page. That we don't want, that has no business being in this place where we're educating head, heart, and hands.
Yeah, I mean, technology is used when it's necessary. You know, we're not pretending that it doesn't exist. But what we are doing is setting it aside which is almost all the time in middle school, when it would be a distraction, when it would be too much of a temptation for a child to wander down some alleys that they're not, some virtual alleys that they shouldn't be wandering down. And that's the main thing. It's not some sort of fear or phobia of technology. It's that technology, especially as it exists right now, where everything is these impulses of gratification, right? One after another, we're just like endorphin hits, right? That does not create an environment for deeper learning. Everything stays on the surface. And that's why, if we don't need it, we're not going to use it, right?
Yeah.
And as you move up into high school, yeah, there is technology in the high school, but it's used very conscientiously for very specific tasks. And when it's done, it's put away. So this old school idea that Waldorfians are a bunch of Luddites is just not correct. What it is that we are very conscientious about when technology needs to be used, we use it.
Right.
But we're very conscious about how we use it and when we use it and why we use it. And we will all stand on the mountain of middle schoolers and elementary school kids just don't need it.
No.
And it's, you know, and if we don't need to explain to you all what the potential negative side effects of early exposure to technology uses. It's in all of the literature and all of the journalism everywhere right now. So even major public school systems, LA, New York, are having kids put their phones in yonder bags, and they are reporting stellar results from it. Kids are actually starting to talk to each other again.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would just add that certainly my feeling and my understanding of this is that it is ultimately preparing kids for the technologies of the future, which are going to be, you know, I mean, some of them unimaginable to us today.
Absolutely.
You know, but these kids they're developing their creativity, their capacity to use their head, their heart, and their hands all together to create things. And we actually have even to our minds, surprising number of Waldorf graduates going into fields, STEM fields and technology fields, because those are the kinds of people that they're looking for in those fields, people with creativity who are going to think outside the box. And, you know, these technologies are designed for anybody to pick them up and use them. So that's not the issue. It's how you're using them, really having that be grounded in, you know, firm foundation of ethics and understanding.
I know at least 3 students who graduated last year who are either going into mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, or computer science.
Yeah.
So, you know, and you can't, another thing about technology, we talk about building these capacities, right? You can't answer questions if you don't answer questions, right? If you don't learn how to answer a question, if you don't learn how to do research, if you don't learn how to figure out how component A relates to component B, and how you end up combining the two and not ending up with C, but ending up with F, right? If you don't figure out how to get from there to there, then you're not going to be able to get from there to there. And if all you're doing is typing in a query to whatever the newest AI machine is, then you're never going to learn how to answer questions. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you don't walk, you're not going to learn how to walk, right? And if you don't learn how to think, if you don't learn how to actively exercise those neural pathways, if you want to get biological about it, then you're not going to learn how to do it. So what disservice are we doing to the future if everything we're doing is asking
A machine.
a bunch of ones and zeros to answer questions that are way more complicated than ones and zeros?
Yeah. I'm gonna continue to move us forward just because I know it looks like maybe we had another question come in, Serena, is that right?
Yes, we do. So this person has a child in the first grade, and they were wondering about how the school can support children in executive functioning and impulsivity for that particular age, I would say, but also maybe how, if you could elaborate on how we support children with all types of learning differences throughout many different grades.
So I think it's nuanced and it's complex. We talk about meeting the individual child, right? So I would have to sort of follow that with another question. Why is this specific child, struggling with executive functioning? And then we would look at, okay, so then how can we help this child with that particular challenge, that obstacle that they need to overcome? And a lot of what we do in the early grades has to do with rhythm and repetition. When there is an expected thing that happens in a certain way and we know what to expect, we can be set up for success. There are all sorts of different scaffoldings that can be put in place. Often we will put in a scaffolding for a particular child, but we do it for the whole class because it benefits everybody. So there's a lot of ways that we support one another in community. It might be that we would buddy that child who's struggling with executive functioning up with another child who really has that solidly. And then they become sort of peer supports. That's another way that we're educating through the heart, right? They connect with one another in a way that they don't necessarily connect with the adults. So it's a very specific and nuanced question. And I would say that we are always asking those questions, and that the approach or the solution is going to vary based on the individual child and why they're struggling, what's underneath the struggle.
Mm-hmm. And if there are children, I tend not to, I interact with the younger children every day, but I don't teach them in a formal classroom setting. But we have IEPs, we have individual individual education policies, programs, exception, accommodation for children. It is a collaboration between the teachers and the administration and the parents and any other professionals that come in. And we welcome all of that. And in terms of executive functioning, if there isn't something that is considered, out of the ordinary, or something that requires a special accommodation, we scaffold executive functioning starting in early childhood, where they're outside interacting with each other and making decisions collaboratively, and there's a lot of freedom. And then when things enter the classroom, things are more prescribed. But as you move through the grades, especially in woodworking, I have this structured specifically that as you move through the grades, you have more decision making, but you have to own your decision making. How you support children in executive functioning is let them know that they have the ability to make decisions, but when they make those decisions, they have to own them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that starts in early childhood and runs all the way through 12th grade. So we let the kids make decisions, and when they and down in the wood shop, I let kids make mistakes all the time. I don't try and stop them. And that's how you learn how to make good decisions, by owning your bad decisions.
Mm-hmm. I'll just caveat, you let them make safe mistakes.
Oh yes, absolutely.
With knives.
Yes. Faith, yes, yes. My number one priority. People ask me, "What's your first job at as a woodshop teacher?" Keep my kids safe.
Yeah.
Keep my students safe. That's the number one job. Teaching them woodworking is second.
Right.
I would also say that we have an excellent educational support staff that is, tailored to the specific age ranges, and that support staff, we have one in the early childhood, one in the grades, in the upper school, and one in the lower school. And they are working with the teachers individually and observing specific students and helping the teachers come up with plans and meeting with the parents. So there's definitely a lot of conversation and support around meeting students with specific needs.
Yeah, exactly. And I would just add to that in saying that for questions about a specific child or a specific age, those are great questions to get into with the teachers when you have your interview with the teachers as part of the enrollment process. So that's kind of the final step. Once all of the materials are in, there's a conversation with the teachers to address exactly those kinds of questions. And we're happy to also follow up on that more in the enrollment office if you have more specific questions. Tarina, I think unless there's one last question we can do quickly, I think that brings us to time.
I think so. We had one question about like a typical schedule. So if we can say that a bit, in a quick kind of overview.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Which grade level, typical schedule?
I think this was about the middle school again.
Middle school, yeah.
And I did showcase the middle school schedule when we were outside the 8th grade classroom. We talked about the morning lesson and many specials throughout the day as well. One last thing I'll say about the schedule, I guess, is that that morning lesson continues. That's every grade. It has that deep dive for a few weeks into one subject area that really allows a depth of learning and developing a relationship with that subject for each student. Continues all the way through 12th grade. And in the high school, 9th through 12th grade, we've now started a new model this year where we have these intensive classes in the afternoons, which are 2-hour blocks where the students again get to dive deeply into more of an elective class that they have chosen themselves. And there's some really cool offerings for there right now. They're doing like bridge building right now. You've got one?
We're doing an outdoor building class where we're building a playhouse for. It's actually going to be a multi-year project because I only have them for a quarter. Yeah, I mean they're learning the fundamentals of design and planning, and then some of the basics about how to build something outside. And we're putting on the gloves and doing the work. It is 100% experiential learning. This is not theoretical.
Yeah.
We have come up with the basic design for a play structure, and we're digging post holes. In fact, we're almost done. Next time I have those kids, we're going to be mixing concrete. So it is, and the range of these electives, but intensives is what we're calling them, is awesome. And yeah, it's the way that I look at the main lesson blocks, the way that I look at these intensives, it's like reading an article in the New Yorker, right? Would you rather read one article in the New Yorker or read 8 articles in Reader's Digest? I choose the New Yorker.
It's a fun analogy.
I just made it fun.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Ram, for joining us. Thank you to everybody for joining us online. And thank you, Tarina, for moderating questions. I think that brings us to the end of today's virtual tour. As I said in the beginning, really encourage you to sign up for an in-person tour, really come into the building. It gives you an even stronger experience of what it is like here in the school. We get to go into classrooms, see classrooms in action. So I hope you will join us on one of those soon. So thanks everyone for now. That takes us to the end today. We'll see you. Bye.